Hello, welcome to the EFT tapping meeting. I hope you can see me. I'm sharing my screen. Um, this is a PowerPoint I made about the tapping points and what EFT tapping does. I haven't done this in a while, so let's get into this. So, EFT tapping, or also known as emotional freedom technique, is derived from acupuncture. So, instead of using needles, now we use our fingers. And this guy, Gary Craig, saw that these different points on our body, these 9 points connected to all the different hundreds of different points on our body. So he decided, well, instead of tapping on all the points and putting needles on all the points, let's do these 9 points. And as I said, it does improve blood flow. And when blood and oxygen flow as well is flowing better in our body, it does reduce inflammation. It decreases stress and relaxes the mind. So it's also called psychological acupressure. It creates a balance in the energy system. We use our soft, fleshy part of our fingers to tap on our face and torso. Some people ask me, how hard do I need to tap? Light. We want to feel it if you want to feel it, but we're not trying to hurt ourselves. There are studies that show that even visualizing tapping is effective. There are studies that show visualizing exercise burns calories. So, what we do when we tap, we are sending signals to the amygdala. That is the part of our brain that is responsible for the fight, flight, freeze, fawn responses. Fawn is people pleasing, when we want our abuser to like us. When we tap, we send signals to this part of the amygdala and tells that part of our brain that I am safe now. And so this was first originally created for people with PTSD and phobias. The very first recorded client of EFT tapping was somebody who was afraid of water. And after a tapping session, she was mightily afraid of water, phobia, and everything. After a tapping session, she went in and jumped into a pool or some body of water. And yeah, that was one of the first recorded and clearly successful sessions. So we're tapping on our meridian points. These are our energy points. Some people like to call them our chakras. We are touching on our chakras when we tap, because the chakras are our energy points. What does tapping do? It rewires brain response to the threat. So like painful memories, so rewires our brain literally. So what does that mean? We can quite literally tell ourselves and tap into feeling better and not feeling a phobia towards a certain thing, person, experience. Rewiring our brain. So when we think about a painful memory, instead of going into shock or stress or whatever we get into, we can feel calm. It rewires thoughts and emotions associated with the threat. It brings more calm in our body. Of course, it sends signals to the amygdala that we are safe and accesses the body's energies. So here are the tapping points. Karate chop point, side of hand. You can tap like this or you can tap like this. Doesn't matter. We only tap this in the very beginning of the tapping point, the tapping session. And then we got our eyebrow point over here, so it's our eyebrow closest to our nose. Then we got side of eye, so we're not tapping on our temple, but quite literally the side of eye. Then under the eye, we're not tapping on the soft fleshy part, but we're tapping right on the bone under the eye. And then under the nose, and then under the lip, so we're not tapping on the chin, but quite literally under the lip, that groove. Now collarbone, you find your collarbone and you go 1 inch down when you tap. Or you can tap in the center where the ribbon of a necktie would be. And then we got side of chest. So this is the bra strap line. So it's right like a few inches below our underarm. An alternative point to side of chest is back of hand in between the ring and pinky finger. So there's a vein there directly connected to the side of chest. And then finally, top of head or crown. Tap around the top of your head, the center part of the top of your head, and feel where it feels most feeling, where you feel the most feeling. Tap there. And those were the tapping points. So some benefits. It reduces stress, lowers cortisol, improves sleep. I'm not going to go and read all of this, but basically it's really good for you. It also helps with weight loss. How does it help with weight loss? It reduces our cravings. So there are tapping videos on YouTube by Jessica Ortner where she will hold a piece of chocolate and smell it and rate how much she wants the chocolate. And then she will do a tapping session right beside the chocolate and then smell the chocolate and rate again how much she wants the chocolate, and she will the rating will go really, really low and she will not have the chocolate. So it helps with reducing cravings, meaning that also helps with reducing cigarette smoking or alcohol drinking or whatever cravings we may have that we would like to reduce. PTSD relief, because we are sending signals that we are safe. We're telling our body and our nervous system that we are safe. It helps with sleep. So I felt like I went through insomnia for a while. It was very difficult to fall asleep, and so I started tapping every night. And I am not exaggerating, within a few minutes I would fall asleep. Reduces anxiety. I first discovered EFT tapping because I was very depressed. This was when I was in college, and tapping was the only thing that brought relief to me. So I'm really grateful for tapping. And now for the fun part. Tapping points explained. So, we tap. What are we tapping? Why are we tapping there? What's going on? What's happening in our body? Let's start with side of hand. When we tap on our side of hand, we're also tapping on our small intestine. When we tap on our side of hand, we are releasing feelings of being frozen or stuck. So when we can't even access our own emotions, tapping the side of hand will help with that. It enhances self-expression. Why? Because now we can access our emotions. We're no longer frozen or stuck, and now we can actually express ourselves. It increases clarity. When we can access ourselves, things are clearer, things around us are clearer. When things within us is clear. It releases resistance to change. And I think that's one reason why we tap in the very beginning over here. So it releases any resistance to change that we're about to have during this whole tapping session. And anywhere in our life. And releases obsession. So obsession is overthinking of something again and again and again and again, and it's no longer serving us. And in fact, it is hurting us. So the small intestine, what does that do? Symptoms of imbalance would be poor circulation. So cold hands and legs, anxiety. Hot hands and legs, anger and fear. Yes, you can have both. I have both. Sometimes my hands are, it's usually my feet get really cold and my hands get really hot. And I wonder if, not to get too deep into it, but I wonder if there's anxiety about moving forward. I know I suffer from that. Just curious, because the anxiety is usually down there, my feet and my legs. So tapping helps with that. Now, inner eyebrow point. So the inner eyebrow, when we tap on the inner eyebrow, we are also tapping on our bladder point. So when we tap on our eyebrow, we are releasing stuck emotions. We relieve depression by calming the nervous system, and we restore self-compassion. So what happens when we have a healthy bladder? We have healthy release. Things don't get stuck inside of us. If we do not go to the bathroom for a very long time, it causes physical symptoms and issues and problems in our body. Similarly, when we don't release our emotions, when we keep it stuck, it causes physical, emotional, and mental problems. So tapping on the eyebrow, it removes liquid waste from the body. Tapping on the bladder removes liquid waste from the body, as well as stuck emotions. Some symptoms of imbalance: urinary diseases, UTI included, stiff neck, shoulders, headaches, back pain. Imbalance of bladder energy caused by stuck anger and stuck emotions. Fun story. I don't know if it's fun, but story. I had a bladder issue where I urinated like 20, 30 times a day. It was insane. And I went to the doctor. I went to a gynecologist. I went to I went to 3 different doctors, is my point. And all of them, and I kid you not, all of them diagnosed me with the same thing: anxiety. Because they said my bladder is very healthy physically, and there's absolutely no reason for me to do that except for anxiety. So as I was trying to heal this physical part of me, and nothing was working, I realized it's because I wasn't addressing anxiety. In fact, I didn't even know I had anxiety. My body was trying to tell me, and I did not know. So now when I need to keep urinating a lot, that one day, I tap on anxiety, and it goes away. Mostly. And then we got side of eye. So when we tap on the side of eye, it helps bring things into view and helps with confusion and indecisiveness. Of course, when things are clearer in front of us, it helps make better decisions because we can think clearly now when we can see clearly. And what do I mean by bring things into view? So there's some things in our life sometimes we're confused about. Maybe we don't know how to make a decision about something. Maybe we can't see beyond a certain part of something. An experience has many different parts, many different perspectives, many different points of views, and sometimes we can get stuck on one. Tapping on the side of eye and all the parts. But right now, focus. Tapping on the side of eye helps us kind of see things clearer. It's like, did you know you can go around the whole Disney park or Disneyland or world? I really don't know the difference. But you go to Disney and you see this carousel and you see this ride and you see all this food and booths and you walk around and it's so fun. And then you get on a helicopter and you fly up into the helicopter and then you see the whole Disney park is actually shaped like a Mickey Mouse. And that's something that you couldn't have seen unless you actually got on the helicopter and flew up. Tapping helps us do that with things in our life. So when we tap in the side of eye, we are also tapping into our gallbladder. Now, what does the gallbladder do? It stores and expels bile produced by liver to aid digestion. So emotionally, it keeps what we need and expels what we don't need to help us understand better what we do need and what we need to do. In short, it helps digest our emotions. It helps support healthy decision making and promotes courage and assertiveness. So what does that all mean? What does that mean? Keeps what we need and expels what we don't need. Okay, so when we go through an experience, And let's say it was a traumatic experience, or maybe even if it was a good experience. Sometimes there are parts of that experiences we just don't need anymore. Maybe someone out of 20 people you met that day, one person said something mean, and 19 people said something good. Sometimes we get stuck on that one person who said something mean. So when we tap, we're able to let that go because our higher self knows it's not serving us. What we can do, and tapping does support this, is learn from what that one person said, grow from it, and then let it go because it does not serve us to hold it. So we let go of what we don't need and we keep what we need. We keep those 19 compliments. We keep that whatever from that one person thing that we can grow from, and then we let go whatever else we don't need. And that helps us make better decisions, right? Because we have informed information, like this is what serves me. From this and from all now that serves me, I will make better decisions for myself. I am more courageous and assertive because I have what serves me. Then we tap into the under the eye, when we tap into the under the eye, we're also tapping into our stomach. So, stomach digests emotional experience. It integrates emotional experiences from the past to the present in a manner that supports growth. Understand better what happened to us, like past trauma, help us grow from it rather than feel stuck. So similar to what we just tapped on with the side of eye, the under the eye also helps us keep what we need from past experiences. So no longer just in day-to-day moments, but actually deep into the past of what has happened to us before, our trauma, our childhood experiences. It integrates emotional experiences from the past to the present in a manner that supports growth. So this now not only helps us know what we need from the past, keep what we need, but helps us grow from it. Right? So we have what we need, what do we do with it? We grow. And tapping the under the eye helps with that growth. And yes. Okay, and it also helps release grief. So what does the stomach do? It digests our food and gets ready to take out all the stuff that we do not need to go number 2. So it, I hope I'm getting this right, but it pushes all the food out, right? Whatever we don't need, it keeps the food that we do need. And similarly, our emotional body is so wise and so smart that it knows what we need and it will release what we do not. And tapping supports our body. It's like, yes, our body is so wise and can do everything on its own, but when we give support to our body works better. When we go to the gym or when we exercise, our body can get in shape better than if we didn't. If we were eating healthier, our body could be healthier compared to if we didn't. But if we didn't, our body would still function. So similarly, we will always function. Tapping just supports us. Then we tap into the stomach. So stomach digests and extracts energy from food and distributes that energy to the spleen and intestines. So similarly, it digests emotional experiences, again, extracts what we need from it, like the lessons, and helps us grow from it. So we're not just hoarding these lessons, we're actually using it to grow. Some symptoms of imbalance: worry, nervousness, lack of acceptance. These emotions get stuck in our stomach. What does lack of acceptance mean? When something has happened and it's just really hard to accept that it happened, kind of like living in denial. And sometimes this lack of acceptance is so sneaky that we don't even know we have it. That's the whole point, right? We don't know that we are in denial. And tapping helps us become aware of the things that we are in denial of. And then we got under the nose or top of the lip. This reclaims parts of ourselves that we have lost, brings back lost memories in a safe way, and restores wholeness to self. When we have gone through traumatic experiences, our body is so kind and loving, our mind is always protecting us. It kind of stores these memories into a locked box so that we cannot access them. And that is just a way to keep us safe. Tapping helps unlock that box in a safe way and helps us learn from what happened to us, grow from it, make sure it doesn't happen again, heal from it, and not let it turn into baggage or weight in our body that eventually turns into physical issues. So when we are able to access these parts of us, we feel more whole. Even these really difficult parts, it can be really tempting to say, well, I don't want to associate myself with it. I don't want to identify myself with it. I don't want to remember it. And I understand that. But that is a part of you. And denying what happened to us is denying a part of us. And tapping just helps. There's other parts where we mentioned it restores compassion to self. Tapping helps with that compassion and that love and understanding that, yeah, I numbed out and locked it away because I needed to. Thank God I could do that. And then now, thankfully, I can feel it. So tapping under the nose taps into our governing vessel, which is the top of our head all the way down to our whole body. It taps into our whole body. This governing vessel stores, nourishes, and moves yang energy throughout our body. Yang energy is the activity of doing, the activated and heated part of us. That part of you, that drive in you, the part that tries to change ourselves and the world around us. The part of you that says, I want to help people. That yang energy. Tapping at the top of the lip activates that. The yin energy, in contrast, is the passive, feminine, cool energy. It's the part of us that is in acceptance of what is. It is flowing, and like it reminds me of a river when I think about that. It's that part of us that is very calm and collected and gentle and free and passive. So this treats back problems, arthritis, memory loss, dizziness, runny nose, headaches, fevers, to name a few. And now we got under the mouth or the chin. So I'm saying chin because it's right close to the chin, but we're not actually tapping on our chin. We're tapping on under the mouth, right above it. Right above the chin, I mean. So tapping here resolves fear. It clears stuck emotions and memories. We're also tapping into our conception vessel. So the conception vessel is the part of our body starting from our, I think, chin or maybe face, and all the way down to our private parts. So this, resolves fear. It integrates emotional trauma. So we are no longer afraid to go back into our trauma and see what happened to us. How can we heal from it if we aren't even able to see it? We cannot take the trash out without first holding the trash in our hands. And so tapping helps us take the trash out and gives us courage, support, and love to hold that trash in our hands. It allows our spirit and mind to flow freely. When we take the trash out, there's more space to flow. We're no longer afraid. We're no longer afraid to take the trash out. Basically, it's like this free flow of like no longer struggling every time it's trash day. It's like it's trash day. It's just free flowing. It's just a normal day. I'm repeating this again and again, but it's free flowing to go to the past. No longer afraid to visit old memories. No longer afraid to see whatever happened and then come back to the present. No longer afraid to think about the future. People who are afraid to think about the past, there's a hindrance in being able to think about the future as well. You can, but it is freeing and easier to do it when we can go everywhere. So the conception vessel, this under the mouth that we tap on, this part supports our creativity. When we are creative, we are able to develop and fulfill goals. So this tapping doesn't just help us be creative or access rather that creative part of us. It helps us develop goals, which is great, but it also helps us fulfill them. So we need creativity to be able to think of anything that is not in this present moment. Logical people are here in the moment. Creative people can go to the past. I think everybody is creative. And I think everybody's logical as well. So this tapping just helps us access these parts of us that is already in us. And when we are accessing this, we can think about the future. And when we can think about the future and when we can think about the past, we can make informed decisions about goals we would like. This helps us, this is one of my favorite, it helps us have the ability to clearly know and say yes or no. So not just no, because I know that is a struggle many people have, including me. I don't know if I want to say yes or no. And in fact, I was just thinking today about how yesterday I said yes to something that I really wanted to say no to. And I was starting to feel really bad about it. And I did a really quick tapping in that moment. I was at work and I did a quick tapping that moment and I told myself, I learned now that when I want to say no, I will say no. Oh, so nice noticing, Rashmi, that I wanted to say no. There might have been a time in my life I wouldn't have even known that. And this time I noticed it. So next time I will follow it. So I was able to have compassion for myself instead of going into a spiral of, oh my God, I can't believe it. I deceived myself. I hurt myself. My body told me no, but I said yes. I was going there. I was there. And the tapping just cleared it out. And I just had a really quick 1 round tapping. And it helped me pull me out of that. So again, now tapping helps us know when we want to say yes or no, and then also helps us actually say it out loud. I, as a tapping practitioner, people think, oh, I did this one tapping, why isn't it fixed now? It's a process. After years of tapping, I am able to recognize and feel my body and pinpoint exactly when yesterday my body shifted and said no. And when my mind shifted and said, well, I'm still saying yes. I would never have been able to be aware of this in the past. But now I have this awareness. And with this awareness, I can do something about it. This tapping, this under the mouth also corrects breathing imbalances. And this point is beneficial to both men and women. I just like to say that because it is called the conception vessel, but we all have that. Then we got the under the collarbone. And when we tap in the collarbone point, we're also tapping into our kidney point. This taps into our energetic reserve. We have so much energy in our body that sometimes this stuck energy that we are not using turns into anxiety. Anxiety, and irritability, anger, fear. These are like fast energy, fast emotions. This is excess energy in our body. and tapping in our collarbone releases that. I also like to call this my morning cup of coffee. This tapping point, as it releases this stuck energy, it helps use this stuck energy, right? So what's happening to all this stuck energy? Now we're tapping it so we could actually use it. So it gives us a boost of energy when we tap in this point. Fun fact, coffee actually does not give us energy because coffee has no calories. Energy comes from calories. And so what coffee actually does is it activates our fight or flight response in our head, in our brain. So our nervous system actually thinks that there's a lion after us when we drink coffee, or a tiger. And I'm not to say don't drink coffee, but just know that if you are looking for that energy, you'd rather have a snack or a banana or an apple. I have heard an apple is a great coffee. It gives us the benefits we are looking for from coffee. And then drink your coffee with your apple. And then we're also tapping to our kidney. Kidney stores our sexual energy. So symptoms of imbalance is genital urinary disorder, sexual trauma, willpower and determination issues, and hard time to cope with hard emotions. So sexual energy, so this taps into our sexual trauma as well. So if you have any of that, tapping here can help support that. You don't have to say anything, you don't have to think of anything or feel anything. Just finding your hands and finding that collarbone and tapping there without consciously thinking about anything or saying anything does help and does move things. Our body is always doing things for us. We allow our body to breathe for us, to process food for us, to have our blood flow for us, and we don't micromanage these parts of our bodies. We don't need to do the same with our emotional recovery as well. We can just tap and let our body do the work for us. Side of chest, the next point. This point also taps into our spleen. So when we tap on the side of chest, it helps us feel connected to source, whatever source is to you. If that is God, life, universe, water, Gaia, whatever source is to you, yourself, higher self. Tapping here helps us feel connected to something bigger than us, something not just bigger, but the source of it all, something powerful. It helps us access life's nourishing nature unconditionally. So nature is unconditional already, and it helps us access that. It's never about the oxygen will never force itself to be breathed. We have to breathe in oxygen. We have to say yes to oxygen. We also have the ability to say no to oxygen. And so tapping helps us say yes to the unconditional nature and everything that is available to us already. It also helps eliminate stagnant energy. So the point before, we tapped into energetic reserve, and now we have so much energy. On top of that, we have stagnant energy, and tapping here releases that. And then that taps into our spleen as well. So spleen helps regulate blood flow. Symptoms of imbalance is diarrhea, constipation, lack of appetite, brain fog, absent-mindedness. And finally, top of the head point, or the crown point. This is also known as our governing vessel, or rather it also taps into our governing vessel, just like the under the nose point. So the governing vessel is from the top of the head all the way down to our whole body. In Chinese medicine, they call this point the Bai Hai point. I'm sorry if I'm saying that wrong. It is translated to 100 diseases, or 100 meetings, rather, to be exact, because it is said to treat just that much. Like, it's an expression that it basically treats everything. It's a very powerful point. So tapping here restores order to the spirit, and it summons spiritual resources. It allows access to the wisdom of our ancestors, also known as our intuition. So, intuition, gut feeling, that comes from knowledge from people who came before us, from knowledge that was passed down. So, like the story from It Didn't Start With You by Mark Wolin, these mice that were shocked and made them smell flowers. Those mice had children, and those children had children, and those children, grandchildren, were never exposed to the flowers, were never exposed to the electric shock. But when they smelled that flower, they went into the same panic and stress that their grandparent mice had, because this was turned into an intuition in the body. The body just knew, oh, that's not good, because it was stored in their grandparents' cells and thus was passed down. Tapping helps us access our intuition. Family constellation helps release these entanglements, but that's another story. So it helps us move forward to a different level of understanding, so we can see things from a different point of view when we tap on the top of our head. It soothes and releases depression, and it clears up delusions. So delusion, we can be in a delusion, like, for example, I was in a delusion once that this guy who blocked me and didn't want to talk to me did that because he was in love with me. And I was stuck in that delusion for a while, that he's so in love with me. Why isn't he with me? And I was in pain. Finally, I came out of that delusion. I realized he blocked me and he wasn't talking to me because he didn't want to talk to me. Because he didn't, I don't know if he liked me or not, but he didn't want to talk to me. I was able to get clear and upfront about reality. Sometimes reality feels and looks distorted and we don't know it. That's the whole point. So tapping kind of helps clear these delusions that we don't even know are delusions. And then about restoring an order to spirit. So spiritual resources, it just helps us access this spiritual part of us. And what is that part of us? That it is the part of us that feels connected to people, connected to nature, connected to things bigger than us. It is that part of us that is also creative. Top of head. So governing vessel, it's like I said, it's Chinese name Bai Hai. It is said to treat 100 diseases. It's so powerful. It helps us have a strong emotional connection to the mind. So the mind and emotions can be one instead of fighting each other, or rather be in rapport with each other. They are in peace with each other. And it helps relieve depression and manic behaviors. So that was EFT tapping points. Thank you for listening. I hope you had fun.